MB, are we live?
Yes, we are.
Welcome back.
Who's introing?
Episode 3 of the Heal Hot Girl podcast.
Welcome back, ladies.
My name is
and gents.
Or maybe it's your first time. I don't know.
Ooh,
Either
yeah.
way.
Well, thanks for being here. My name is
Thank you.
Samantha.
LBZ, the place to be.
It's Jess, your favorite wellness bestie. Hey, y'all.
Hey.
up, girl?
Listen, y'all, week 3, we're here.
We are.
We did
3
it.
is a beautiful number.
It is.
3 of us.
3
Hold up.
episodes in.
I also wanted to say our first day doing the pod was on March 11th.
It was.
It was. It sure was. Those
So
are both
there's a power
spiritual
3
numbers.
and there's a power on 11.
Yes, Luke
Uh-huh.
Howard.
I'm
Wow.
excited, guys.
Yeah, we're going through the
Oh,
eight.
man.
I'm
We
not
are
as
here.
excited.
Oh my gosh.
Because today is the day.
Guess who's on the hot girl hot seat?
It
Okay,
would be the
guys.
one
So
clearing
if
her
you're a
throat.
first time listener, the hot girl hot seat.
Good choice, by the way, also, if you're
Yeah.
first time
LB,
listener.
do you want to pivot? Not pivot. Let the people know what the hot seat is.
So the hot seat, we have a nice little deck here that we pose a question to the hot girl of the day, which could be any of us, which today is SP. So,
Yeah.
shall we?
I'm scared.
Without further ado.
Grab that deck. Okay.
Now, she grabbed the same card.
That would be nuts.
I'm walking
So,
off if she
yeah.
does.
Oh,
Ooh.
she's going to.
With the word.
Okay.
Okay. LB. Uh-oh.
Mm.
Here it goes.
Seems like we got a good question.
When was the last time you shared your truth, even though it felt risky?
Ooh, baby.
Honey, I was like, "Ooh, good thing I didn't get this one.
When was the
last time I shared my truth and it what?
Even
Felt
though-
risky.
And it felt
even though it
risky.
felt risky.
Last time I shared my truth, even though it felt risky. One time, a time, and there have been several, but I think one of the biggest sort of truths that I've told that have been both risque and also like freed me in a way is talking about having anxiety and depression and sort of what that does to me and how it makes me show up in different spaces. And at the time, it was out of force and necessity.
What do you mean?
Like by force, like I was mentally and emotionally pouring from an empty cup and I was like at my breaking point. And so having the ability to be vulnerable and share that with my manager at the time was what ultimately, and at the time, I came to that conversation with my 2 weeks notice. I said, I'm out. I can't do it. And through that conversation, she heard me, she listened, but it was me breaking down in front of her and becoming vulnerable. Now, mind, my boss and I had a very tense conversation. And I remember I was about to tear up because I was getting so frustrated. And I remember I turned off my camera because this is Zoom time. I turned off
Right.
my camera and I was kind of triggered because she was like, well, why'd you turn off your camera? I'm like, y'all ain't about to see me cry.
Yeah.
Like, that's why, like, you already know, like, you don't get that. But when I came back 2 weeks later, I had let my guard down a whole bunch more. I started to realize once I had those 2 weeks off, like, it's work, but it's not work. Like, work was not the reason that I was experiencing it was just what I was experiencing was also showing up at work.
Right.
And so that was probably, and then sharing that conversation with my team after that, like everybody I worked with, because now, mind you, I went out on 3 weeks break. I tell everybody this, here's what I'm going through. Everybody's supportive. The next super hard truth when I had to quit right after that leave, I was supposed to come back October 19th. And then I had to tell everybody, it felt weird. It felt like, I just took this time off work, these 3 months, and now I'm actually just quitting, like, goodbye. But everybody was so supportive. And like everybody, like, I mean, I remember crying for weeks after.
Wow.
Because I was so touched by how much everybody cared and reached out in a way, depression makes you feel alone.
Yeah.
And
Right.
so many people reached out to me and told me how I touched them just by sharing my story, just by standing in my truth and acknowledging what was right for me and what was no longer working. And so those are really hard truths because like work is like, my identity was work for so long too. And so, those are my very hard truths, even though they
Wow.
seem risque.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that come to mind anyway.
For
That's
sure.
got to be some empowerment in that too, though.
Definitely.
Yeah.
To like share, to come from that. Like you said, it was hard for you to share that. And even a
Yeah.
couple weeks later, it was like, You
I
were
didn't
courageous
feel
enough. It
yeah.
doesn't feel like
I
it.
didn't feel
Courage
empowered at
and
all.
empowered.
What
No,
happened was so many other people felt comfortable speaking out about what they were going through. I need help too. I'm struggling too. And that's what started happening. That's why they started coming to me and they're like, they were saying all these things and I'm like, I don't feel brave. I feel like a coward, like a cop
I
out.
feel like I'm quitting.
I feel like I'm quitting. I feel like y'all
I
just
can
gave me
relate.
3 months
Sure.
off to get my shit together and I came back like, bye. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was hard, but it was the amount of outpouring of like love that I got from people also let me know at the time I didn't know whether I was doing the right thing or not. And like
But
even
she did.
but yeah, so
Right.
that was very empowering for it came later. The empowerment came after like
Right.
months later after I had processed and stopped feeling guilty.
But you don't know
about
how
it.
the risk in that is like you don't know how it's gonna be received.
I don't know how
Thankfully, like
I was sure everyone
went
was
well,
gonna hate
but
me and talk so much
yeah.
shit about me and like I thought people weren't even gonna believe because like I didn't take my own mental health
Right.
serious, you know.
But
So
I'm sure on some level, a lot of people could see themselves in you in some way. You know what I mean? But you just had,
I was just the first person
yeah,
to
you just had
speak
the
out.
courage. And even though it didn't feel like it at the time, because it probably felt like you had no other choice.
Yeah, I felt like I was backed
Really?
into a corner.
Yeah, like it was what you felt like you had to do. But I'm sure there are people who are like, damn, I felt the same way.
Yeah.
And even people that are listening to us, like, I'm sure we've all felt that way at some point. So the fact that you like acted on it, and it couldn't have been a better move, really.
That's
It
true.
was scary.
Yeah.
Talk about it. Tell the people, Sam, let them know.
SLPR Communications, we do healthcare PR for startups. I guess I already said healthcare PR, but startups in the healthcare space. So
Oh.
yeah, I work with not just startups, though. I work with corporate companies and startups alike. My clients are PR agencies, but my goal this year is right now my balance is majority agency clients, and then I have a handful of my own book of clients. My goal this year is to grow my own book of clients and have like the smaller portion of that be my agency clients.
So like taking your health,
Mhm.
prioritizing your mental, speaking up for yourself, advocating for yourself in that workspace, letting the people, your managers, your team know, led to some new fruit.
It's coming. It's all coming to me.
Proud
The
of
thing
you,
I'm
girl.
not. Well, I am working less, and I think one of the things. It depends on the day and the week, I guess. But I think I never had permission. I never felt like I had permission to put myself first and my health first, especially mental health. You know what I mean? So working for myself, and I kind of knew. I'm like going back into a company where I work for someone else. It's gonna happen again where I was gonna put their needs over my own. It's just how I work, and so now I have the permission when I'm having a bad day, just sign off to go take a nap and not feel guilty about it. And honestly, I'm still so hardwired by the corporate world that it's
Hard.
2 years later, I'm still like,
Hard.
you can go take a nap. Nobody's holding you here until 5 p.m. but you. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, but it was definitely the right move. It was risky. It was the right move. It paid off in dividends, and we're only going up from here. So
Period. You heard
Period.
that loud and clear.
yeah.
So it's been a journey. Journey of, I guess, realizing that you were, dealing with the anxiety and depression to like now, like, how did that kind of unfold for you?
Yeah, I think I had to start taking my own condition. I don't want to call it a disease, but something I deal with daily. I had to start taking it seriously, and I didn't. And so I think that was the first step. It was just like, if you don't take your mental health serious, who else will? But also, no one's looking out for your mental health but you, really. So, yeah, I don't really know therapy was a big piece of it. I feel like therapy got me out of my head and started to pay more attention to what's going on in my body.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of other things that happened at the same time for me. I got on medication. I was very anti-medication. So if there's people out there that are like that, and I'm not pushing it on you at all, but I was like that too. And so for me, in terms of because I just thought I was like that. I'm just like, this is how I am. And it's like, this is one side of you know what I mean? Unchecked, but also like, I don't know, it just gave me more space to breathe in between moments. Like, not that I don't just react,
Right.
but like the medication gave me space. So it was a combination of things for me, including like therapy, medication, yoga's always been a big part of my life. But
going on a retreat soon.
I'm so excited
Talk
for
about
Sedona.
it.
Yoga became one of those things that irritated me too. I didn't do yoga for like close to 2 years
Really?
because the type of yoga that I used to do was power yoga.
Wow.
And it was intense
different
and it's
type of
hot. It's in a
style.
90-degree room and it pushes you. And I always thought it was good, but it was like I was pushing myself already. I didn't need anybody else to push me. I needed the restorative. I needed the yin. I needed to slow down. I needed people to tell me to take a moment and breathe.
So there are different types of
There's
yoga
different
for people
types of
that are
yoga. Oh my
familiar.
God. There's restorative, and yin will change your life. It's magic. They call it yin magic. I'm not even kidding you. You hold like 6 poses, all of a sudden you're crying, like weird
Wow.
things happen, like, and you don't cry every time you go into like a
Right,
hip
right,
pose, but
right.
like it's just emotions come up, and so yeah, yoga's been a way of getting out of my head and into my body. And so for me, it's been I call it like my cocktail, my self-care cocktail.
I love that
It's not
term.
just one thing,
I
right?
love that
It's
term.
so many different things that have carried me from that point in time when I started to take my mental health serious
Yeah.
to now,
Those
and
tools
all of
and
that, right? Like, I don't want to be stuck here. This place sucks. It's scary.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you feel alone. And like, I was never sensitive topic, trigger topic. I was never suicidal. And I never felt feelings of suicide, but I also felt like if I kept living in that moment and in that space, I was kind of killing myself. You know what I mean? Like I was
That's deep.
slowly
Yeah.
dying.
What did depression look like for you?
That's a good
And
question
what
because
did
it looks so
or
different, right?
feel? What was your experience with depression, and when did you kind of know that like you weren't feeling like your, I guess, usual self? That's like how I typically
Yeah.
describe like I'm just not feeling like something feels a little off.
Yeah. Well, I think first it was my doctor because I was diagnosed with anxiety and depressions, like, I don't know, back in like 2017, 2018. But again, I never took it serious. I refused medication. I barely went to therapy. I told y'all how that went. I can tell you what it looked like. It looked like I was working all day. I would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock in the morning. I worked all day and sometimes into the night, especially once quarantine hit. And it wasn't like my depression all of a sudden hit, but it was exacerbated by certain things like being stuck in the house all day. But then not when I was no longer stuck in the house, I was still stuck in the house. You know what I mean? Like I couldn't get myself out of the house to do things. Like thank God for Lucy, my dog, because like I literally felt like some days I wouldn't have gotten an ounce of sunshine had it not been for her forcing me away from my computer to take a break. And so for me, work has always been an escape, which is why I've been able to I just focus, right? And I forget about everything else, but it's also an escape. And so I used work to such a degree. And I was also, I'm a little bit of a hustler. I'm not a little bit, I'm a hustler. I'm ambitious. And like, I was angry a lot. I was very negative. Like, I didn't have an ability to see a glass half full kind of thing. It was like everything was negative. My world lens was negative. I wasn't eating. I was maybe eating like a meal a day. And that was like, I was forcing myself to eat because I'm like, you gotta eat.
Something.
This is uncomfortable, but I wasn't showering. Like, not like your everyday, right? Like, there would be days where I'm like, when's the last time you showered? Like, go get in the shower. But it was like, and there were so many things. Like, when I knew what scared me was I woke up and looked forward to getting back in bed.
Wow, that's deep.
I woke up and I said, I can't wait to get back in bed tonight and go back to sleep. Because sleeping was the only time I felt at peace.
Wow.
So that's what it looks like. And I didn't know it necessarily as my depression. Then it took those like a little bit of a break from work to be like, okay, wait, honey,
we gotta give
Yes,
we gotta give
it's
SP some
me.
TLC.
It's me. There's things that aren't making it better, but this me. It was me. So that's kind of what it looked like for me. It was dark and it's
Thank
scary.
you for sharing that.
Yeah, it's alone. It feels really
Yeah.
lonely. Like in your head, you feel like no one's gonna understand. No one's gonna know what you're going through. And also you feel maybe I won't. This is how I feel, I guess, is so it's like, well,
say that.
you got no reason to be depressed, but I was.
On the outside.
Yeah.
When you look at
Right?
things on a piece of paper, or you look
I
at
had
how your
no
life
reason
was
to be depressed
Yeah.
on the outside, but in the inside, I was just depressed. And you feel alone and you feel like nobody knows what you're going through and you feel like you can't share it because I don't want to bug anybody about this.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's going on. Like so it was just easier to like not deal with it, not address it. And when you do that, you feel like you're the only one going through it. You know what I mean? You just feel like you're on an island.
For sure.
Is what it feels like.
For
And
sure.
so for me, when I started to notice it, it was like, this is what medication did for me. This is the only way I know how to describe it. When mosquitoes are around, you know it. When someone asks you if there's mosquitoes, like, oh, is there mosquitoes outside? You're like, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No mosquitoes. I'm not itching.
Right.
I'm not, no one bit me. I'm good.
Yeah.
But so that's how like I could tell when like the medication was helping because it was like my doctor would be like, how you doing? And she'd be like, how you doing? I'm like, bitch, I'm not good. Shit is not good right now, you know? So it was like,
Yeah.
it was a journey, but I think there was a lot of learning myself
For sure.
in those 2 years too. So
I resonate with that. A big piece of like the part of when you say how it can feel lonely and someone can even reach out and say like, yo, what's going on? Like on paper, everything's okay, all good and dandy. But I remember during those moments, my low moments where I felt like my back was against the wall. And I think the big piece of that is for people out there, like, people are able, Sam was working, you know what I mean? She was able to like do that part, but internally she was dying in a sense. You know what I mean? That part of you that needed to be nurtured wasn't. And it really takes a lot of strength and it takes courage and for you to say, hold on, I need to take action because it's hard to do the work and it's hard for us to just be here today. And yo, we're continuously doing the work. We're hot girls, but we're healing. And this journey doesn't look it looks different. It looks different for
for
everyone,
everybody, yeah.
but we're doing it,
And
and
that's just to
that's the
say
part of
too,
it.
just because that's what my experience was like, your experience with depression might look completely different. Like I don't know
Absolutely.
if you feel comfortable sharing what that looked like for you, but it's gonna look different for everybody. She said, it's not my hot seat, girl. Bye.
Well, I think that part of it too is like I recently think that I like have always been like a very energetic person. Like very like I can't really think of a lot of times in my life where like I felt depressed. Um or I felt sad or I don't know, I didn't think that like I think admitting it sometimes, especially if it's not something that it's, like, foreign to you maybe, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think the grief of Lee's, like, I was 1,000% depressed, but again, I didn't realize it, and I look back on it now, and I'm like, I can resonate with some of the things you're saying, like, wanting to, like, go back to bed, like, getting up and being like, "I'm ready to go back to sleep," or, like, having nothing was fun, like, nothing I didn't find joy in things that like, now I find joy in, like, my routine or, like,
Yeah.
the little things, excuse me, that are important to me, but for a while, like, nothing felt good, nothing was fun. I have a dog too. I wouldn't have went outside for a long time if
That's
it
a
wasn't for the
fact. If
fact
it
of
wasn't for
having
our
like,
pets,
our dogs are
Mhm.
really, like
The
shout out
real
to our
earth
hot girl dog.
angels, like those dogs pack a lot of like they carry some things. Like
Don't think it can't be you.
yeah.
yeah,
Like, we've seen signs of excuse me. If you see signs of things that are not like you, pay attention to that,
Mm-hmm.
take stock in that, like, don't ignore it,
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and just keep going because
for
I think
sure.
that's the worst thing you can do is just,
Yeah.
like, not acknowledge how you feel.
It's so crazy because when you hear like the phrase like "you have the answers, they're in you," you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah,
huh?
that's always
Yeah,
says that. So I was like, you know the answer.
yeah.
I'm
So
like,
I'm like, oh no, I don't. No, but you do. And so when LB says take stock in those, it's really that check-in moment. Check in with yourself. Like part of my daily messages are like, yo, have you checked in with yourself? How are you feeling? What can you let go of? And sometimes you gotta ask yourself those questions so that you can nurture it because things build up and you can continue to like put it in the back and not realize and like it takes a moment of self-reflection for you to be like, yo, that was a period in which I actually was not my best. And these are the emotions that came with when I wasn't feeling my best. Now I know how to identify that. Yeah. It's real
yeah, one of
shit.
the things I found that that works for me, and this sounds funny to a lot of people, but we're complicated plants. Like, my house is full of plants. Like
Yeah,
the sun
for
just
sure.
pours through. Like, and not that you can't be depressed in that house, but it's a lot harder. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, so man, it's a journey,
But
but
it
it's
really
been.
is, like, you hear all the time, like, joy wouldn't feel good if it wasn't for pain, right? And it's like, as bad as those times can be, is like the sunshine on the other side is so bright when you know, get to that point. You know, when you're going through it, it can seem like it's never gonna end. And
Mm,
it can seem like things are gonna change, but they always do. The tide always turns.
yes.
As long as you
Yes.
like stay the path,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
keep working at it. It's not gonna happen overnight. Like there's not it's not a quick fix.
It's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. LB and I were speaking about recently. But I haven't been to a funeral since We's. And so I'm here, obviously supporting my friend, but it was so crazy to just you are now like feeling for your friend. You're also, you have that comes up, past triggers that come up, but at the same time I was like sent her a voice note after and I was like, yo, like it's crazy that, we're still on year one, like a year and a half in, and like it's sad to the one thing that we all have in common is we people are death is a
Yeah.
thing, but how his journey is now going to start, as far as like grief and what that looks like. And I just say that to say that give yourself grace throughout everything. Just give yourself grace throughout your entire, like, just your journey and your life and the things that are happening, and understanding and learning yourself comes throughout all of these moments. And so in that moment while I was there, I'm like, man, okay, yeah. Yeah, I just can now continue to move forward in a sense of like, what does that look like and how can I honor
Like
someone?
honoring the space that you're in is just always super important that day. Like Jess said, check in with yourself. Be real.
And know when your space has become toxic for you too, right? Like your environment. So that's a big thing for me because, as I mentioned, my healing journey almost kind of started at the same time. It was a parallel path to Nashville. I actually say, people would always ask me, like, what do you like about Nashville? I'm like, Nashville saved me. Nashville saved me. You know what I mean? Because in the same vein, I didn't feel depressed at the time, but I was. And I think in a way, Buffalo was killing me. Like, I love Buffalo. Buffalo will always be home, but it was slowly killing me being in this environment. I was just like, my growth was stymied, my emotional growth, like my spiritual growth. Everything felt stymied in Buffalo. And honestly, please, guys, I'm a Buffalo kid. I love Buffalo, but there's no sunshine. There's no sunshine in the weather. And again, sunshine is a big thing for me. Like, it's a daily fight to keep my energy high. Everything shifted for me when I moved to Nashville. And that wasn't a move that I wanted to make. That was a move God dropped in my lap. You know what I mean? God was like, we got to get you
That's
up
the
out of
thing.
here.
That's
It was
the thing.
That
completely
was,
like
I wasn't even looking
that's
for
how
a
you know
job.
it was really a
The
godsend.
company that I was working with was a startup. It had just suddenly went like bankrupt. There was no job, no company anymore. I was like, I'm not.
Overnight, basically.
Literally overnight. They called us in. They were like,
Yeah.
y'all don't have a job anymore.
And you
The
love that shit.
company. I
Like,
love
right,
that
you
job.
did,
So I was
you
so
did.
depressed after that. I remember thinking like, I'm not even looking for a job. And then a week later, the company that I ended up eventually working with, it only took 5-6 days for them to reach out. They didn't know that I was unemployed. I didn't post it to anyone. You know what I mean? I wasn't like, hey guys, I just got fired. Like, the whole company got laid off because their bank. I didn't post that on
Right.
LinkedIn. I was depressed. They just reached out to me like organically on LinkedIn, like a person, like not a recruiter, like an SVP at a company in Nashville was like, hey, like that conversation led to another conversation. Next thing I know,
Won't he do it?
I was
really
being offered this
Won't he do
opportunity
it?
to I was making more money. It was November in Buffalo when
It's
they reached
crazy.
out. I'm like, I'll move for free. I'll damn near move for free.
Sam
Get me
said
up
she'll
out of
move for
here.
free. Listen,
For
y'all.
real.
That's true.
It was a double, triple snowstorm, state of emergency. Yeah, I barely made it my flight that morning. Remember, I called an Uber.
Crazy.
The Uber bailed on me. I was like, Alyssa, I had already told you the night before, so I just had a feeling.
I think you
had a
slept over my
feeling.
house.
I did, and you were taking me to the airport, and I remember saying like, hey, I called an Uber, but just in case they bail on me, please be ready to get up and
Me
take
and
me
my
to the airport.
Nissan Altima, I don't know how we did it. That car held me down. But yeah, it was 5 a.m. Uber never showed up. So we were on our way.
Yeah, I
in the
touched down in
Altima.
Atlanta
Yeah.
that morning, and I remember thinking the sun was out, it was shining, there was not a drop of snow on the ground. I said, oh, baby, I'm home.
Me, sweetie.
What?
Ooh, Nashville, give me a cowboy boot, give me a hat. I don't listen to country, but we're going.
Sam's ready to ride.
I'm ready to ride. So yeah, Nashville was really a big part of my healing journey because I grew so much in my faith. And again, that was none other than divine intervention in my
For
life
sure.
at that point in time. And so it's so crazy how everything happens. If
It
y'all
is.
knew how the
It's all
woman reached out
connected
to
and
me, like, this is the
Yeah.
craziest story, and it's too winded to, like, but, like, the way she even approached me, the way she found my profile was, like, wild. And then, um, I'm now in Nashville by myself, and living in a new city by yourself is very hard. Making all these decisions is hard. Everything was scary. I was, like, overwhelmed with everything. I remember I was just, like, a bag of tears, like, for the first few months that I lived there. I'm just like, what is happening? What's
For
going
sure.
on? The tornado hit. Like,
Oh,
literally, what
yeah.
is happening in this damn
She
city?
slept through it, by the way.
I slept through a tornado. Yes, I did.
So, like, 0.5 miles from her house, like, my dad and mom are calling me, like, is Sam good? I'm like, Sam, you good? She's like, I think. I mean, should I not be? I was like,
No, I told you guys because I remember Lindsay hit me first, and I
think
started
my
texting
parents
people.
knew because my
Oh,
parents
okay.
already knew.
crazy.
Because
You
I
hit
started
me.
texting a few people, just so you know, I'm good. Everyone's like, what happened? I'm like, oh, girl, turn on the news. Turn on the damn news. It's a whole tornado. I didn't sleep through it. I don't recommend, but whatever. It wasn't my fault.
Won't he do it?
Won't he
Okay.
do it?
Won't
We're
he
fine.
do
Me and
it?
Lil.
Trust.
Yeah.
And these were a lot of transitions, y'all. Like, we're
No,
talking about
it was hard.
major transition.
Yeah, and like, look, God affirmed me every step of the way, and even till today, if I tell you my journey through like how I started my business, yo, the angel numbers that spoke to me,
Yeah.
y'all, the amount of times I saw 1111, my business LLC was formed on 1111. I filed the paperwork in October. They sent me and the paperwork was dated 1111.
Crazy.
The day I bought my laptop, it was like the last $1,000 I had in my bank account. I was like, shit, I need a laptop. I'm going to work for myself. So I might be taking this back to pay rent later, but we're about to get this job right now. The date on the time on the receipt said 11/11.
That's crazy.
She was like, worst case
11/11.
scenario, I could just take it back if I got to pay my
Or-
rent.
or
I remember
literally,
you said
no.
that.
Yeah.
Because it was like 11/11. I
I looked
remember
at my
that
receipt
vividly.
and I said, wow.
Wow,
And
Sam.
11/11
I didn't
kept
know
coming up for
this.
me. Yeah, but when I first moved to Nashville, how God started reaching me is through my finances. He knew I cared about my money. He said, I know what SP wants. SP wants the money. And so I always had this desire to be debt free. And I was listening to the Dave Ramsey podcast. He's not a very nice man, but he has sound financial advice.
Sam Ramsey, I called her. for
Sam
quite some time.
Ramsey, yeah, he has sound financial advice. Don't overspend. Spend within your limits. But he also had tools for helping people get out of debt. And so I was like heavy on my debt free journey, but I was like, he called it Dave Ramsey-ish. I was doing what he said, but kind of my way. And he's like, that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right.
And so something told me, I was following this pastor online, Real Talk Kim. I don't know if anybody's followed her,
Oh, I've
but
heard
I
of
followed
her,
her
yeah.
online, and she happened to post that she was coming to Nashville,
Uh-oh.
Hendersonville, Tennessee. And I was like, oh, I wonder where Hendersonville, Tennessee is. Maybe I can go see her.
10 minutes away from you.
I've been following this lady.
Shut
like,
up. No,
she speaks to
seriously?
me. It was like 15 minutes from
Shut
me. Swear to
up.
God. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to this Hendersonville church. I've never asked me when the last time I've been to a church before that. Like, did somebody pass? Is somebody getting married? Because I didn't grow up religious. And so it was my first time in the church, and I was like, walking in like, God, cool tonight, but my God,
I'm not really cool out here.
and the first thing,
I
right? And so the first thing
That's so-
they announced, so I sit down in my little pew next to a whole bunch of people excited to see Real Talk Kim. And before she even comes out, the pastors are giving their speech. The first thing they announce is that there's going to be a Dave Ramsey Financial Peace University class.
Shut up.
And I had been wanting to do the Financial Peace University class, but I had refused to do it.
wild.
The first thing they said is, we're having Financial Peace University if anybody wants to sign up. And I said,
Wow.
Well,
Maybe that's where I'm at with
Just
Jesus.
married
now.
2 times. Like,
Right.
boop, boop.
right. And so I signed up. And I actually went to that church for a little while. But it was like the way God, he brought me to church through my finances, through my wallet. You know what I mean? He was like, you're not comfortable right now. You're making
How
more
do we
money and you're
fix
still the same. You
Mhm.
still have the same money issues. Like, we got to fix this. And so
Yeah.
he reached me the way he knew how. I wasn't spiritual.
No,
You
for
know what I
sure.
mean? Like, and so he reached me the way he knew how, which is through my pocketbook. And I swear
I
to
know how
God,
to get her
The
attention.
big
I
purse.
swear to God. And I stopped going to that church after a while, but and it felt for a while, I was like, well, just mean I'm not spiritual. I don't have a relationship with God. But in these last 3 to 4 years, since I stopped going to that church, I've also realized, because the church wasn't right for me either. Like, they were,
Yes, y'all. That's the thing.
you know, and so, but how I feel with my relationship with God, I'm like, oh, we're locked in.
That's my homie.
You know, like, we are locked in. He looks out for me. And when it's not looking out, when I feel like he's not looking out, he's trying to teach me a lesson.
For sure.
You know what I
For
mean? There's a
sure.
lesson in it. And so,
I say that like,
Yeah.
yo, it's crazy how much he pulls as even when you're walking away and when he'll snatch you right back in.
Yeah.
He'll remind you your feet are going to touch the ground.
Look, I want to read y'all this because I feel strongly about
So,
you try to fix it. You
yeah.
check the water, you check the soil.
Wow.
You're like, do I need to trim some things?
Yeah.
You don't throw the plant out, you
Yeah.
fix the environment.
Right.
But with ourselves, we're so ready to like throw ourselves away,
No, it's
right?
true.
So there's this.
What's that book you have there?
First of all, this is Vibrate Higher Daily. This was big for me in my reading. I'm a reader. We all like to read. So this book, if y'all are just starting your healing journey,
Amazing
It's-
book, by the way.
the way she puts
Simple,
feelings
yes.
in words.
A
like
great read.
this is a book that you see I got tabs on it. This is a book I've gone back to and read. It's got some, I mean, it's in good condition.
It's definitely a book that you like pick up multiple times.
Yeah.
at
It's-
different
And it can
stages.
at
hit
different
different,
stages, and it
it's
hits
different,
differently
like
every
with whatever
time.
you're
Yes.
dealing with.
So this paragraph says, sometimes you'll have to be gentle with yourself and realize that it's not you and anything you're doing wrong. It's the environment that you're in. It's not allowing you to thrive. It's not what makes you grow, heal, flourish, thrive, and expand. It's not fertile ground for the seed within you. So like to me, that means like, again, it's not that the environment is necessarily toxic, right? Like it wasn't really Buffalo, but
Right.
it was me in Buffalo. I was no longer growing. Like
Mhm.
I was no longer evolving. Like I was stuck. And so, in order for us to be able to nurture our best selves, like we have to be in the right environment, and you have to recognize when your environment. But yeah, like in order for us to really like become the people we want to be, and become our best selves, we need the right environment, just like a plant to be healthy, strong, beautiful. Like we need all the right environment. We need the right elements. We need the right environment to be able to grow. So
Yeah, no, definitely. And like recently, I have a part-time job on top of my full-time job. And like last week, I was like, that passage that you just read was like confirmation again. Like I hate it. I absolutely hate it. And I just feel like it's blocking me from pursuing other things
Ventures.
that like I'm passionate about. Like I want to get more into Reiki and crystals and card reading and just learning more about the energetic side of
tuning
things.
your frequency. Suddenly you're like, well, damn, I don't even want this around. Like,
And it's true because we really are energetic beings. I mean, you think about, you feel energy in good ways and bad ways.
For sure.
And I think that part-time job was literally draining me, and I just made a decision last week. I was like, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm submitting my letter of resignation effective
Immediately.
Well, I'm gonna give them 2 weeks.
No.
And
They're trying to peer pressure me. I'm like,
standard practice. Standard
I'm
practice.
gonna do that because like I still struggle with that because I'm like also such a rule follower that I'm like, okay, F y'all, but like also I'm gonna do it right. Like, okay.
No, for sure.
Not me. I feel like rules were made to be broken.
I agree. I
Little
agree.
bit.
I
mean,
but the kid I work with, like I can't just.
you can't say
I'm
that
a
to
therapist
kids.
for people. Like I can't just be like, okay, see ya. I mean, I can, but like
Yeah.
that's just really
No,
not good
for
practice.
sure.
And
Yeah.
I just, it's not right. The people, it's not my clients, it's not the kids I work with, it's not the families I work with. I absolutely adore them. It's the environment of the agency. It's the culture of the agency. It's the way that they make me feel that it's hindering me, not helping me. And I think
Mhm.
I was scared because like DC, sweetie, it's a lot of money.
Mhm.
It's a lot of money out there. And it was a safety net for me.
For sure.
So to kind of remove that is like absolutely terrifying.
All I hear is, baby, you moving in faith, right? And you're trusting yourself. I hear that. And I hear that abundance is waiting at the
Ooh,
door.
abundance.
I hear it.
love
It's coming.
abundance.
And
Yeah, we
so,
love abundance.
you know, if for those, you guys are going to start getting to know LB, you know, this is for her to say, guys, like, this is what I'm doing. And it being a work thing, it's like, oh shit. Okay, girl. This is
Because
for real.
I will literally,
For these kids,
yeah, like
for these kids,
She's a saint.
she is
Alyssa's a
guys, an
saint.
earth angel, and so it's dope. And I'm so proud of you to take that on and
Thank
to
you.
recognize, like, yo, this isn't helping me. This isn't gonna help me grow. And it doesn't feel good right now. And to say, God, I'm willing to be uncomfortable for a little bit
while I figure that out, because I don't
while
know
I
what.
into other parts of me. Like, shout out to that, because this is what we're doing. This
But
is
I
what we're
also
going.
get that from you.
Oh, guys.
I mean, really, one thing about Jess is she has a lot of passion projects. Like, one thing about her is, like, she makes sure that while her, like, 9 to 5 isn't, like,
fulfilling.
Yeah, like, it's not something that, like, she wants to do for the rest of her life or
Yeah.
anything. She makes time to, like, explore what that is
Yeah.
and, like, find that, like, niche and, like, puts herself out there to, like, I wanna try this and, like, I wanna try that, and it's like, well,
Well, no.
damn, like, why not? You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I never looked like I was
Yeah.
so anchored in what I knew that it was like, I'm like a secure person. I'm like a comfort person. Like, yeah, this sucks, but like I know I'm gonna have that paycheck and like I know this money's gonna come in. I know my bills are gonna get paid. And not that my bills won't get paid, but I don't know. One thing
Uh,
about Jess is like she gonna do her project.
Nah, I appreciate that. But I will say, y'all, that it didn't happen. Like, that's not something that I've always been. I think for me, it's easier for me to help other people with their projects. Like, yo, oh, for real, let me help because I'm a natural helper. I will show
Yeah.
that in that way. But for me, it's like, I think the spaces that I've been, the being so low, I no longer want to be there. And like, I know what that feels like. And now feeling clear, like, God, you're giving me so much grace right now. I want to maximize it. And so, like, what does that look like? I don't know. So I'm a dabble, and that's why I say my earth angels remind me of certain things. And so I'm willing to explore now. I'm willing to take the risk. I want to say yes to everything that makes me a little resistant, and not that I'm scared, resistant to doing it, because I know that it's going to help, it's going to challenge me. So if it feels a little nerve-wracking, that means I got to do it. I'm just going where I'm being led.
I had this quote and I forget, it was one of the two of you that I was like talking to about it because I couldn't figure it out, but it just popped in my head, so it had to be that moment. But it was like, change happens when the pain of staying the same is greater than that of change.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah, like I had heard that quote a long time. Lord, I couldn't remember it. I was like, the pain and the change and
I
like
knew
the
it was going,
rain.
I was like,
I was like, but it was like somebody told me that like a decade ago, honestly, almost a decade ago. I was going through a breakup and like he wanted me to like him. So like that was where that came from, just to be honest. And he's like, you got to move on because. But it really, now that it resonates, it hits so different, and that's, I feel like we've all been at that point where like the pain of staying the same is greater than that to just do it. Like to stay in this like dark hole of a job, of an environment, and that's easy to do.
It's easy to point blame.
It's easy to be like, oh, like you said, it's my work, or it's my man, or it's my friends, or it's my job, or it's my.
And then you peel that stuff back, and it's like, no, baby, it's you.
Yeah.
It's you.
So I think that's like one of the biggest things is like sometimes we're forced.
Yeah.
I mean,
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I've always had the mindset, like, if you're not a little scared, like, fear in itself isn't wrong, right? It's not bad.
Yeah.
You make it bad. But, like, if you're not a little afraid and resistant or whatever,
Yeah.
right? If you're not a little uncomfortable, you're
Yeah.
doing something wrong.
For
You know what I
sure,
mean?
for
You're not
sure.
learning if you're constantly staying in your comfort
For
zone. So
sure.
pushing yourself, whether you consider that to be fear or discomfort or whatever, it's like having a little bit of that is good for
Yeah.
you. You know, it's good for you to feel a little scared when
For
you do
sure.
something, a little nervous,
Yeah.
like you're doing something new,
For sure.
brand new for the
Yeah.
first time. Like, we're a little nervous doing this, you know, like.
And you want to know actually what's so crazy? So this morning, Instagram has a new feature. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it has a new
Tell us,
feature where
LB.
your memories
Oh,
pop up from your
yes,
stories. And you
yes.
want to know what was also so crazy about today? Well, I should say about March 11th is I quit my job at my last day at CPS before I transitioned and made this pivot
Crazy.
into therapy. And so like a year later to be like
Wow.
in another like wild,
Testimony.
like another like uncomfortable, like not knowing, but like we out here type of situation.
Right.
Like I remember I was so scared then too. I was like, this job is literally killing, like that job was literally killing me. Like
Yes, it was.
emotionally, physically, I was
Yes, it
not
was.
well.
I just
doing
want to
that
give a
job.
quick shout out to all the CPS.
For real.
Ooh,
They're the
yes.
Right, all the
real.
workers, like
Heroes,
night and day.
yeah.
Y'all are also earth
The
angels.
situations that we put ourselves in, the risk that goes into it, the dedication that goes into a job like that, it's literally unmatched. But I had reached the end of my road. Like I was not doing well. So I had to get out of it. And so like in the last 2 years, it's like I've done things that I like it was more scary staying where I was
Mm-hmm.
than just like doing it,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's real shit.
which is so crazy. I'm having like a
Look at that, guys. You girls.
I know. I
Love
love
this.
this.
wow.
No, but that's real shit. And it's the purpose of these kind of conversations, and not only for the world to hear, but like that moment. You just had that moment. You just
I
oh
just connected the dots.
Oh,
Like,
shit.
right.
Oh,
Paint the
shit.
picture,
Yeah.
baby. We're here.
it was my last day. We saw
That
Wale
was
that
it.
day too. We should before we have a little maybe 10 minutes left. We should finish
One more.
more cards.
Oh, for me?
No,
For everybody?
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
Let's see.
Honestly, the way
Shit.
it was like this was not in the
Yes,
this is
one.
not on the agenda for today. We already did one,
I was
but no,
like,
I
I
really,
had to do the
I
backup.
really like these questions. Shout out to Cece for this deck.
Oh, I
Yes,
did, and
thank you.
the
Stay tuned, y'all, because
gonna miss you.
there's gonna
crazy
be a
the
moment
energy. Remember the last
yeah.
time we were all together,
for sure.
and it was like we're off, but it was like I've maybe hung out with Sierra like twice, but I feel like Sierra is just as much my best friend too. You know what I mean? It's just like because when I see her, it's just like
yeah.
it's love. Like
Where
it's-
this year,
true.
I think this year was that my birthday? Was that the
I
first time
think
you
so.
met her?
No, I met Sierra before.
one
I met
other
Sierra a
time.
few times
Okay.
before, like
Because
back
we
in
had
the
a
day.
time this year.
Oh yeah, no, I met
No,
Sierra
when-
back in the
Check
day.
us out.
Okay.
But-
Okay, this is
LB
actually really dope. That's a great closing question.
shit. SP
What
goes
title
first.
would I give this chapter of my self-love journey?
Shit.
So good.
This chapter of my self-love journey is titled, such a good question. Honestly, I think for me, this year is about standing firm in my boundaries and consistent. This chapter is called like whatever that was, and consistency.
trying to think of a synonym.
I know, me too.
Because
it's easy to be happy-go-lucky one day, but like, anxiety, depression, you
Sure.
go, ooh,
Yeah. For sure.
But doing the things, my routine. Remember, we talked about this, like my routine. I hate routine. I'm a person like, give me something new every day. But routine makes me feel safe
Yeah.
also. So like I
Mhm.
need it, even though I don't like it, I need it. And so the consistency to like my routines and stuff. So yeah, consistency is my chapter.
That's
Done.
beautiful.
Jess?
I will say surrendering to the unknown. I think this is the part in which I used very rigid, and learning myself, I've learned I like control. I like to know what's going to happen next, and I lacked faith.
Mm.
This chapter of my life now, I'm like, God, lead it.
Mhm.
I'm trusting myself. Like I said, I keep on saying I don't have the map, but I feel that for me and allowing myself to be less rigid, because I want to be led.
Yeah.
I don't want to control.
Yeah,
I
that's
will,
nice.
as I'm being led, I'm becoming more self-aware of the things and areas about me and like what I need to do and develop, etc. But yeah, that part this is where I'm at.
I
So
love that.
check back on me a little later.
When is our next chapter, Israel? How long is this chapter? Jesus,
But,
this season.
many
I guess we'll let you
pages?
know when it changes. I think that mine is me.
Ooh.
we love It's Me season.
definitely
Lisa
me
said,
season.
Like
Lisa
it's
said
me
it.
season, baby.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I'm just coming into my own a little bit, like confident and like I know what I want. Usually for the most part, I definitely know what I don't want. Having tough conversations with people.
Yes.
To get me to a place where like I'm all the way good.
I love that.
So yeah.
Mhm.
It is a we season. It's a us season. It's a boundary season. It's a surrendering season.
Mhm.
We are healing hot girls, baby. We are.
And y'all
We
can
really
be
are.
Wow.
healing hot girls.
That was a
too.
beautiful.
Come
That was a
join
beautiful
us.
question.
It was.
It
I
was,
was like,
yeah.
that's honestly like the best
Thank you for that reminder.
Yeah.
way to
Yeah.
end this episode because
This episode.
it's forever a journey, I think.
Yeah.
The journey the marathon continues.
And our book
Yeah.
continues to be written.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're still writing it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We're still writing it.
And
love-
self-love shows up differently throughout our lives
Yeah.
too. And I think that, being fluid in that too and realizing that your needs change.
Thank you
Yes. Thank you
all.
all for joining.
Y'all will have to tune back in to find out who's on the hot girl hot seat next week. It
For
might not
sure.
be. It's probably not going to be one of us. We all did our bid.
Oh, we
That's a
did do a
fact.
bid. We
We
may
did
or
our
may not.
bid.
We'll see. Definitely stay tuned. Y'all follow us on Instagram at Heal Hot Girl. Listen to us weekly. We will see you again. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube.
Can't wait to see you next week.
Thank y'all for
Bye,
joining.
y'all.
Bye.
Peace.